The deadliest hellscape in the galaxy was silent, and that silence was never natural. Captain Ryan Hawley stood at the edge of the broken canyon, his rifle scanning the horizon while toxic red dust drifted slowly through the air. This planet had a reputation across the stars. Entire armies had vanished here. Advanced alien species had tried and failed to tame it. No rescue signals ever returned. And yet, humanity had been sent here again, this time with no intention of survival. Behind Ryan stood Commander Kale Voss, the man he hated more than any alien beast. Years ago, their forces had clashed in a brutal space war. Ryan believed Kale's command decision had wiped out his entire unit. Kale believed Ryan's faction had betrayed his people first. The truth no longer mattered. The hatred between them was sharp, cold, and alive. Neither spoke. Words were useless between enemies who wished the other dead. A distant sound broke the silence. Not a roar, not a weapon. It was softer, almost fragile. Ryan froze. His instincts screamed danger, but curiosity pulled his gaze toward the shattered alien ruins ahead. The structures were ancient, half-buried, and carved with symbols no living species had claimed. This place should have been empty. It never was. They moved carefully, weapons raised. Inside the ruins, they found her. She stood alone in the center of the chamber, a small alien girl, no taller than a human child. Her skin shimmered faintly like pale starlight, and her eyes were large, dark, and filled with something far more dangerous than fear. She was completely silent. No movement, no sound. Just watching them, Kale tightened his grip on his weapon. "It's a trap," he said coldly. Ryan did not answer. Something about the girl felt wrong, not hostile, but heavy, like the calm before a planetary storm. Scanners showed no weapons, no energy signature, no threat indicators. That made her more terrifying than anything else on this world. The girl slowly raised her hand and pointed past them. The ground shook. From the darkness outside the ruins came a deep, vibrating sound, massive, hungry, and moving fast. The planet had noticed them. Kale swore under his breath as alarms screamed through their armor systems. Whatever hunted this land was coming, and it was not alone. "Move!" Ryan shouted. They ran. The silent girl did not hesitate. She followed them without a word, her small feet moving effortlessly across the broken stone. Behind them, massive alien predators burst from the ground, their bodies armored with natural plating stronger than steel. Other species would have panicked. Humans did not. Ryan fired while running, precise and controlled. Kale covered their rear, his shots brutal and efficient. Despite their hatred, their movements synced perfectly. Years of combat training took over. Humanity's strength was not just in weapons, but in instinct. They escaped into a narrow ravine where the creatures could not follow. The silence returned, broken only by heavy breathing and the crackle of damaged equipment. The girl stood between them, untouched, unharmed. Ryan finally lowered his weapon. "Who are you?" he asked. No response. Kale studied her closely. "She shouldn't exist," he said. "No species survives here." "Not for long." The girl looked up at them, then slowly touched the ground. The symbols beneath her hand glowed faintly. Images flashed across both men's visors, visions of destroyed fleets, burning worlds, and alien civilizations screaming as this planet consumed them. Then they saw humans, humans standing where others fell, humans adapting, humans surviving. The vision ended. The girl stepped back, silent once more. Ryan felt something shift inside him. This was no ordinary alien child. She was a warning, or a message, or perhaps a test. The galaxy had thrown everything it had at this hellscape and failed. Now humanity had arrived with enemies, with blood, and with a future no one else could predict. Kale broke the silence. "If we're going to survive," he said, "we don't kill each other. Not yet." Ryan nodded slowly. "And the girl?" Before either could decide, the ground shook again, stronger this time. Whatever ruled this planet was coming in force. The silent alien girl turned toward the darkness and smiled. The ground trembled again, deeper and angrier than before, as if the planet itself had decided they no longer belonged on its surface. Captain Ryan Hawley adjusted his stance and scanned the dark horizon of the ravine, his senses sharp and focused. The silent alien girl stood between him and Commander Cale Vos, calm and unmoving, as if the chaos around her did not exist. That alone made her more unsettling than the approaching threat. Cale broke the silence first. "Whatever she is," he said, his voice low and controlled, "this place wants her dead. Or wants us dead for being near her." Ryan did not disagree. His combat display flashed warning after warning. Multiple life forms, massive, fast, intelligent. Other species had fled from such readings. Humans stayed and planned. He glanced at the girl. She looked back at him, her dark eyes reflecting the warning lights on his visor. Still silent. Still watching, the first creature appeared at the edge of the ravine. Its body was tall and skeletal, wrapped in thick natural armor, with limbs that bent at impossible angles. Its eyes burned with a dull red glow. Then another emerged, and another. They were hunting information. "Defensive line," Ryan said without thinking. Cale moved instantly, stepping into position beside him. No argument, no hesitation. Old enemies, now soldiers sharing the same instinct. They opened fire together. Energy rounds struck the creatures with explosive force, tearing into armor that had resisted entire alien armies. The beast screamed, a sound that echoed through the ravine like breaking metal. But they kept coming. Ryan noticed something strange. The creatures were not charging directly at them. Their focus kept shifting to the girl. Every movement, every calculated step, was aimed at her position. She was not just part of the battlefield. She was the center of it. "Get behind us," Ryan ordered. The girl obeyed, stepping closer without fear. Cale glanced back briefly, then returned fire with brutal efficiency. "You're protecting an unknown alien," he muttered. "Funny how the galaxy works." Ryan did not smile. "If she's the reason this place woke up," he said, "she's also the reason we might survive." A creature leapt from above, crashing into the ravine wall. Cale reacted instantly, pushing Ryan aside and taking the impact himself. The force slammed him into the stone, cracking his armor. Ryan responded without thought, firing point blank into the creature's exposed core until it collapsed into dust. For a brief moment, everything went quiet. Ryan helped Cale to his feet. Their eyes met, years of hatred flashing between them. Then something else. Respect, not forgiveness, but understanding. "We leave no one behind," Ryan said. Cale nodded. "Even her." The girl suddenly raised her head. The symbols on the ravine walls began to glow brighter, pulsing in rhythm with the planet's heartbeat. A low hum filled the air. The creatures froze, then slowly backed away, as if commanded by something far greater. The girl stepped forward, placing her hand against the stone. Images flooded their visors again. This time, they saw her species ancient, advanced, and peaceful, wiped out by the planet they had tried to control. She was the last one. Not a weapon. Not bait, a survivor. "She's bonded to this world," Cale whispered. "No," Ryan corrected. "She endured it." The distinction mattered. Endurance was humanity's strength. It always had been. The planet responded to her presence, but not with loyalty, with challenge. The ground shifted, opening new paths through the ravine. Escape. Routes. Tests. This world did not reward power. It tested survival. Ryan made a decision. "We move with her," he said. "Whatever this place is, she's the key." Cale exhaled slowly. "If this is a trap, Then we adapt, Ryan said firmly. That's what humans do. As they moved deeper into the hellscape, the silence returned. But it was different now. Not empty, watching, high. Above, unseen alien observers tracked their movement. They had expected humans to break, to turn on each other. Instead, they saw something dangerous forming, two enemies. One silent survivor. And a bond forged not by trust, but by the will to. Endure. The galaxy would soon learn why humanity never truly fought alone. The path opened by the living planet led them into a region where the air felt heavier, thicker, as if every breath carried the memory of past deaths. Captain Ryan Halley walked in front, weapon raised, his movements slow and deliberate. "Commander." Cale Voss followed a few steps behind, watching both the shadows and Ryan himself. Between them, the silent alien girl moved without effort, her bare feet never slipping on the shifting ground. She had not spoken once, yet she guided them as if she knew every scar of this hellscape. They reached the remains of an enormous, alien structure buried deep beneath the surface. Its walls were cracked and burned, marked by weapons far older and more advanced than anything still active in the galaxy. No flags, no symbols of ownership, only ruins. Ryan felt uneasy. This place did not feel like a battlefield. It felt like a grave. As soon as they stepped inside, the air changed. Their armor systems flickered. Communication channels went silent. The girl stopped and placed her hand on the central platform. The structure came alive. Light flooded the chamber. Ryan and Cale were pulled into a shared vision. They saw the war that had shaped their hatred, but not the version they were taught. They saw leaders meeting in darkness, manipulating data, altering records, and spreading fear across entire star systems. The attack that wiped out Ryan's unit had been staged. The strike that destroyed Cale's homeworld had been provoked. Both sides had been fed lies, carefully crafted to keep the war burning. Ryan clenched his fists as the truth unfolded. Every battle, every loss, every face he remembered had been sacrificed for power, not survival. Cale's breathing turned sharp and uneven. "This can't be real," he said, though his voice lacked conviction. The vision did not stop. It showed how their leaders discovered this planet and its ability to erase evidence, entire fleets vanishing without trace. The perfect dumping ground. Soldiers sent here were never meant to return, heroes erased. Enemies forgotten. They didn't want witnesses, Ryan said quietly. The vision ended. Silence fell again, heavier than before. Cale lowered his weapon slowly. His hands trembled, not from fear, but from rage. "My people died believing you betrayed us." Ryan met his gaze. "Mine died believing the same." For the first time since arriving on this planet, neither man felt hatred, only betrayal. The girl turned toward them. She touched her chest, then pointed at both of them. The symbols around the chamber shifted, forming a single clear image, a human hand reaching out to another human hand. Surrounded by darkness, she's saying the war ends here, Cale said. "No," Ryan replied. "She's saying the lie ends here." The ground shook again, but this time it was not a threat. It was a warning. Something far larger than the predators was approaching. The planet was reacting to the truth being uncovered. Cale straightened. His posture. Years of command returned to him, but without blind loyalty. "If our leaders sent us here to disappear," he said, "then surviving becomes rebellion," Ryan nodded. "And telling the truth becomes war." They moved deeper into the structure, gathering data, recordings, and evidence preserved by the ancient alien systems. Other species had tried to fight this planet. They had failed because they relied on control. Humans adapted, they learned. They endured. Outside the structure, shadows gathered. Massive shapes moved beneath the surface. The planet was no longer testing them. It was preparing. As they exited, Cale stopped. He looked at Ryan, then extended his hand not as an ally, but as a man who had lost everything to a lie. Ryan took it. The silent alien girl watched them closely. For the first time, her expression changed, not a smile. Something deeper, hope. Far across the galaxy, signals began to stir. The evidence they carried could shatter empires. If it ever left this planet. Above them, alien observers grew uneasy. Humanity was not supposed to learn the truth. It was supposed to fight itself until extinction. But humans had a habit of surviving long enough to ask the wrong questions. And once they did, the galaxy never stayed the same. The storm arrived without warning. One moment the sky above the hellscape was a dull, lifeless red, and the next it twisted into a violent spiral of black clouds and burning light. The ground cracked open as if the planet itself was screaming. Captain Ryan Hawley braced himself against a jagged rock formation, his armor systems flashing critical warnings. This was not a natural storm. This was the planet deciding whether they deserved to exist. Commander Kale Voss scanned the horizon through distorted visuals. "This zone should be uninhabitable," he said. "No species has survived a storm like this." Ryan tightened his grip on his weapon. "Then we'll be the first." The silent alien girl stood calmly between them, untouched by the violent winds. Energy rippled faintly around her, bending the storm away just enough to keep them alive. Not protecting them completely, just enough to test them. Ryan understood then. This world did not offer mercy. It offered trials. They found shelter inside the wreckage of a long-dead alien walker, its massive metal frame half buried in the ground. The technology was far beyond human design, yet broken and abandoned like everything else that had challenged this planet. Kale removed his damaged armor plate and studied the alien systems inside. "This tech failed them," Kale said. "Too complex, too dependent." Ryan nodded. "Then we make it simple." They worked together without speaking, stripping components, rerouting power, and forcing incompatible systems to cooperate. Human engineering was never elegant, but it was adaptable. Where alien technology waited for perfect conditions, human machines worked through damage, dirt, and chaos. Slowly, the walker came alive, not as it was meant to be, but as humanity needed it to be. Outside, the storm intensified. Massive shapes moved within the clouds, watching. The girl placed her hand on the walker's core. For the first time, she made a sound. It was soft and brief, almost like a whisper. The system stabilized. The storm did not stop, but it pulled back. Kale stared at the readings. "She didn't control it," he said. "She understood it." Ryan felt a spark of pride. "So do we." They moved again, deeper into the hellscape. The terrain shifted constantly, trying to confuse and trap them. But humans adapted. They marked paths. They learned patterns. They turned the planet's aggression into predictability. Other species fought this place with force. Humans learned it. High above, alien observers exchanged uneasy signals. This was not how the trial was meant to go. Humans were not supposed to survive long enough to adapt. They were supposed to break turn on each other, fall to despair, or be consumed by the environment. Instead, two enemies walked side by side, rebuilding ancient alien technology with human stubbornness and will. They reached a vast open plain filled with the remains of alien fleet ships torn apart, melted, and buried in the ground. Ryan felt the weight of history pressing down on him. Entire civilizations had ended here. Kale stopped. "If this planet killed them all," he said, "why is it letting us walk?" The girl looked up at the sky. The symbols beneath her feet glowed faintly. The answer formed slowly in Ryan's mind. "Because we don't try to dominate," he said. "We endure." The ground shook violently as a colossal creature emerged from beneath the wreckage, a guardian of the planet, larger than anything they had faced before. Its presence crushed the air itself. Alien observers watched closely. This was the final test. No species had survived an encounter with this being. Ryan did not fire. He lowered his weapon. Kale followed. The creature paused. Humanity did not attack. Humanity did not flee. Humanity stood its ground. The girl stepped forward and placed her hand against the creature's arm. The Guardian retreated, not in fear, but in recognition. The observers panicked. This was impossible. Humans were not conquerors. They were survivors. And survivors did not need permission to exist. As the creature vanished back into the earth, Kale let out a slow breath. The galaxy is going to be afraid of us. Ryan looked at the endless horizon. They should be. Because humanity had done what no one else could. They survived the place they were never meant to leave alive. The calm did not last. In the hellscape, it never did. The ground beneath their feet began to pulse with a deep, uneven rhythm, like a wounded heart struggling to beat. Captain Ryan Hawley felt it through his armor, a warning that something far worse than the Guardian was coming. Commander Kalva sensed it too. The silent alien girl stopped walking, her gaze fixed on the dark horizon where the land slowly started to rise. From the broken earth emerged a swarm, not of beasts, but of living weapons. They moved with purpose, faster and more coordinated than anything they had faced before. These were not natural predators. They were the planet's answer to resistance. Kale checked his remaining ammunition. "This is where other species died," he said quietly. "Overwhelmed, outnumbered." Ryan nodded. "Then we changed the outcome." They moved toward higher ground, dragging what remained of their modified walker behind them. The swarm closed in, screeching as they advanced. Ryan fired first, cutting a path through the front line. Kale followed, placing shots with brutal precision. Their movements were no longer forced. They flowed naturally, as if they had trained together for years. The first breach came too fast. A creature leapt through the smoke and slammed into Ryan. Tearing through his armor, pain exploded across his side. He fell hard, struggling to rise. The swarm surged forward, sensing weakness. Without hesitation, Kale stepped between Ryan and the enemy. Kale took the full force of the attack. His armor shattered. His body hit the ground, unmoving. Ryan roared in fury, emptying his weapon into the swarm until the barrel overheated. The girl screamed her first true scream, and the ground around them erupted. Throwing the attackers back, Ryan reached Kale's side. Blood stained the dust beneath him. "Stay with me," Ryan said, gripping his armor. "You don't get to die here." Kale's eyes opened slowly. He managed a weak smile. "Funny," he whispered. "I used to wish you dead." Ryan laughed bitterly. "You picked a bad time." The swarm regrouped, larger now, circling them like a tightening noose. The walker's systems flashed red. One final charge remained, enough to create a massive energy burst. Enough to wipe out the swarm. Enough to kill whoever stayed behind to trigger it manually. Kale understood immediately. He struggled to stand. "I'll do it." Ryan shook his head. "You're not even standing." Kale grabbed Ryan's arm. His voice was firm, final. "You have to protect her. She carries more than all of us. Humanity needs someone to walk away from this." Ryan felt the weight of the decision crush him. This was not duty. This was brotherhood. Before Ryan could stop him, Kale pushed him toward the girl. The swarm charged. Kale turned and ran toward the walker, blood trailing behind him. He slammed the manual override into place and looked back one last time. Not at an enemy, at a brother. The explosion shook the planet. Light consumed everything. The swarm vanished in fire and dust. The shockwave threw Ryan and the girl across the ground. Ryan shielded her with his body, bracing for death. It never came. When the dust settled, the battlefield was silent. The swarm was gone. The walker was gone. Kale was gone. Ryan knelt in the ash, fists clenched, unable to speak. The girl approached him slowly. She placed her hand over his heart. The symbols beneath them glowed brighter than ever before. Then, the ground shifted from the crater. A figure emerged. Broken, burned, alive, Kale collapsed to his knees, barely breathing. The planet had tested sacrifice and allowed survival. Ryan rushed to him, lifting him up. "You idiot," he said, his voice shaking. "You were supposed to die," Kale smiled weakly. "Humans don't follow expectations." High above, alien observers went silent. They had witnessed something no data could explain. Two enemies willing to die for each other in the galaxy's deadliest hellscape. Humanity had done the unthinkable. They had turned sacrifice into survival. Asterisk hidden. Within the background noise of deep space, carried by fragments of alien technology and human-modified systems, it spread slowly and quietly. Most species would never notice it. But those who watched humanity closely felt it immediately. Something had changed. The deadliest hellscape in the galaxy, a place that erased civilizations, was no longer silent. High above the planet, beyond natural sight, the observers gathered. They were ancient, patient, and deeply unsettled. For centuries, they had used this world as a final filter, a place to remove species that grew too dangerous or too ambitious. None had ever passed its tests. Until now. On the surface, Captain. Ryan Hawley helped Commander Kale Voss to his feet. Kale's body was broken, but his mind remained sharp. Humans were not known for graceful survival. They endured through damage, pain, and stubborn refusal to fall. "You should be dead," Kale said between strained breaths. Ryan smirked. "So should you." The silent alien girl stood nearby, watching the sky. The symbols beneath her feet pulsed steadily, no longer frantic. The planet had accepted their answer, not dominance, not submission. Endurance. As they moved across the battlefield, the hellscape began to change. Hostile zones pulled back. Predators retreated into the ground. Storms altered their paths. The planet was no longer hunting them. It was observing them. Ryan noticed something else. Wreckage from countless alien ships lay scattered across the plains. He activated a wideband scan and frowned. "Kale," he said, "none of these ships are human." Kale followed his gaze. "We were never meant to be tested," he said slowly. "We were meant to be erased quietly." That truth echoed far beyond the planet. In distant star systems, alien councils intercepted fragments of the signal. Human biological data, combat records, environmental adaptation logs, evidence that humans had survived what no one else had. Fear spread faster than any fleet ever could. "They endure conditions that should break them," one observer transmitted. "They cooperate even when hatred divides them," another added. "They adapt faster than the planet itself," a third concluded. For the first time in centuries, the observers debated whether they had made a mistake. Back on the surface, the girl led Ryan and Kale toward a towering structure rising from the earth, like a black scar. This was the core, a place where the planet recorded every species that had failed. Kale grimaced as they approached. "If our leaders find this," he said, "they'll bury it." "They won't," Ryan replied. "Not if the galaxy sees." At first, the structure reacted to human presence. Ancient systems awakened, broadcasting images of fallen civilizations and the final moments of their leaders. Ryan felt the weight of it all, but he did not look away. Humanity had always learned from ruins. Kale connected his damaged gear to the core and rerouted power using human protocols. Alien systems resisted, then adjusted. Human logic was inefficient, but relentless. The core opened. A burst of data surged. Outward. Across the galaxy, the truth spread. The observers recoiled. Species that once viewed humans as loud, violent, and short-lived now reconsidered. Humanity had survived the ultimate filter not through strength alone, but through unity and refusal to surrender. They will not be controlled, one observer warned. They will not be erased, another replied. They will be feared, a third concluded. On the planet, the sky cleared for the first time in recorded history. Ryan stared upward in disbelief. Looks like we passed, he said. Kale shook his head. No, he said. We changed the test. The girl turned to them. Slowly she spoke her first clear words, her voice calm and steady. You endure, she said. Now the galaxy must decide. Ryan felt a chill run through him. The battle was no longer about survival. It was about what came next. Humanity had been revealed, and the galaxy was no longer ready for it. The galaxy did not react all at once. It never did. Civilizations rarely collapsed in a single moment. They shifted slowly and painfully when long-held assumptions were proven wrong. Humanity's survival of the deadliest hellscape was one such moment. For the first time in recorded galactic history, the planet that erased species had released its grip. And at the center of that impossible outcome stood two humans and a silent alien who was silent no more. Captain Ryan Hawley watched the horizon as dawn broke over the scarred land. The sky, once permanently choked with toxic clouds, now carried a faint blue hue. It was not peace, but it was permission. The planet had finished its judgment. Commander Kale Vuss sat nearby, his wounds bound with improvised medical gear. He should not have survived, and he knew it. Every breath was a reminder that something greater than chance had chosen to let him live. The alien girl stepped forward, her presence calm and steady. She no longer blended into the background like a shadow. The world responded to her openly now. The ground softened beneath her feet. The symbols around them faded, no longer warnings but records marks of a trial. Completed. You have done what none before you could, she said, her voice clear and resonant. You did not seek to rule this world. You did not flee it. You endured it together. Ryan looked at Kale. Once that man had been his enemy. The face he had imagined destroying was now the face he trusted with his life. The lie that had driven their war felt distant now, small compared to what they had faced together. We were sent here to disappear, Kale said quietly. Instead, we became proof. The girl nodded. And proof changes everything. Above them, alien vessels broke. Their long silence. Not warships, observers, messengers for centuries. They had watched species rise and fall, believing themselves beyond consequence. Now they hesitated. Humanity had not only survived the test, it had exposed it. Ryan activated the final transmission. Data surged outward. Records of lies, evidence of manipulation. Proof of the Hellscape's true purpose. Across the galaxy, alliances cracked. Leaders panicked. Species that once accepted quiet extinction began to question their fate. Humanity had lit a signal fire. Kale stood with effort and placed a hand on Ryan's shoulder. Whatever happens next, he said, we face it together. Ryan nodded. Not as soldiers of old flags. As brothers, Kale finished. The planet rumbled softly, not in threat but in farewell. Pathways opened toward a distant extraction point, an exit that had never existed before. The Hellscape did not release conquerors. It released survivors. As they walked, the girl remained beside them. My people believed strength was control, she said. They failed. You showed another way. What way is that? Ryan asked. She looked ahead. To endure without losing yourselves. When they reached the extraction zone, human signals finally answered. Rescue craft hesitated at the edge of atmosphere, their crews stunned by readings. That should not exist. 2 humans. 1 survivor of a lost species. Alive. The moment they lifted off, the Hellscape closed behind them. Silent once more, but changed forever. Across the galaxy, stories spread, not of monsters, not of weapons, but of humans who refused to break. who turned hatred into brotherhood, who walked through the graveyard of civilizations and came out stronger. Humanity was no longer underestimated. It was watched. It was feared. And in many corners of the galaxy, quietly respected. Ryan and Kale stood side by side as stars stretched into motion. Enemies no longer, not heroes. Something rarer. Legends born not from victory, but from survival. And the galaxy would never forget the day two enemies became brothers in the deadliest place among the stars.